Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. We are here in Melbourne on Tram route 109, but this looks suspiciously a lot like a railway line. You wouldn't even, if someone showed you this photo, you'd probably think it's a train line. And it actually was. Yes, this was the old Port Melbourne train line, which was actually the first steam operated railway in the entire country. It opened in 1854 and was converted to light rail in about like the 1980s. I'll put the exact date on the screen. So not that long ago in comparison to when it opened. It acted as a train line operating from the city to the port. And now it's a passenger light rail line with many stops along the way. Now this is a road crossing here, which actually has bells, like as if it's a railway crossing. When the tram comes past, it rings, even though there's no boom gates. There is another old railway line through here, which is the St. Kilda railway line, also operated now by a tram route 96, which that one's actually longer. I have filmed the front through that section, although it's quite bad because in the E-Class you can barely see, but I might include that here as well. Here we are in St. Kilda. There goes the D-Class on Route 16. This is definitely one of the nicest places in the south, eastern and southern suburbs near the city. All of this area around here is very rich and looks much better than a lot of the other places, especially where the trams run. This is a beachside suburb. I'd say it's comparable to like Scarborough in Perth. There's a lot of commercial around and the beach is right there, but it's so cool because the trams run here. Again, I'm going to point you to a Tate set video to explain all of the tram lines in St. Kilda, which he has done, but I just want to show you a little bit. There used to be a train line running to St. Kilda, same with the Port Melbourne route 109, which is my local route while I'm here. That was actually the first steam railway in Australia. But here to St. Kilda there was also a train that stopped at the edge near where St. Kilda station is. That's the tram stop name now, even though there's not really a station anymore. But the tram extends all the way down and runs right through the middle here of this restaurant strip, Route 96, with the terminus over there. This is what a proper tram system is. This is how trams should run. And this spot really reminds me of Glenelg in Adelaide. It's very similar design. It's next to the beach. There's a tram terminus among the restaurants. I really do like this. See right there? That's where the 96 is. There's an E-Class there right now. There's actually some really unique type of tram called the C2 class. I didn't even know it exists. There's two types of C-Class. The normal one we see in 109 all the time. And then C2 class, which is actually, there's 5 sections, which there's only 5 of them, and they only run on Route 96. So I kind of really want to find one. But yeah, 96 has that railway alignment as well, so it reaches really high speeds and actually crosses underneath other tram routes, like Route 1 without interchange because it's on its own separate alignment, and even runs parallel to them with Route 12 running on the street and Route 96 running on the dedicated tracks right next to it, which is so weird. It's as if it's a different transport mode, but they're both trams. And that actually runs adjacent to the Mont Albert, or whatever it's called, park, which is where they host the Formula 1 in Melbourne. So here's this terminus, beautiful. Probably my favorite tram terminus of them all. And there's no traffic allowed here either, so it's only trams. I can't think of a better terminus after having traveled the whole network. This feels like a proper one, unlike most of the random street termini. Does look really good here. There's even these signs which say which platform the next tram is departing from. Right there, it's platform 1 next tram. Let's get on. That's the other old railway line. So there's two coming right out of the city, but really they're extremely short for a modern railway line today, which is why they're much more fitting as light rail. Up there is the bridge, one of the main access points into Port Melbourne. There's another tram. And honestly, I really like these kind of stations, these kind of designs of light rail where you actually have like a station as if it's a train, even though it's obviously not. That's a good view down the line. It's very straight. There's quite a few stops, about six or so I think. Beacon, Cove, Port Melbourne is the terminus. Then we have this one over here which we are at now, Graham Street. Then we have Northport, Montague Street, Southbank Tram Depot, and Clarendon Street Junction. So yes, that's 6 on this alignment, and then it goes into road median running into the city. How far can this zoom work? 20 times. It's pretty blurry though. They just passed each other. Oops. What was that?
Stopping at Beacon Cove, stop 129. This will be the last stop. Thank you for travelling with Yarra Trams.
And here's the Beacon Cove Port Melbourne terminus of Route 109, which I have shown you before. This is actually my local, most close, honestly, well, second most close is a bus stop, but my local transit stop during my stay here in Melbourne. I use this like pretty much every day. And it's just a typical terminus. It's got a nice platform there, but right next to it, here, you can see clearly the remnants of the old Port Melbourne railway station. It's still fully intact. And that's the platform right there. The tram now stops just beyond the platform. It's also the same thing at St Kilda. There's the St Kilda railway station, which is also still fully intact, and the stop there is actually called St Kilda Station for the tram, right outside Woolworths Metro in St Kilda on Route 96, as I said before. But here you can have a good look of the train station, Port Melbourne. It's a very short platform though, and the trains definitely wouldn't have been too long in that time. It's only about 3 or 4 kilometers from the city, so it was definitely a short line compared to every other train line in Melbourne, which is like 20 kilometers long. And here we are a little bit further up the line. There's an A-class lineage right now. You get a few of these, but it's mostly C's. This is the Montague Street stop, still in the reserved railway section. The Southbank tram depot is actually right here, so you can see a lot of trams in here, although there's no C classes, which is so dumb. This is on the 109 route, exclusively actually, yet it doesn't hold the main tram for 109, but you got a lot of E's. There's some W classes in the back there, which run in the city circle, number 1000, which are also the ones in Whiteman Park in Perth, as I've probably said before. And I do know how to drive those, and I do drive them to the brand new Whiteman Park station, which is opening in 2 days' time at the time of recording this. But yeah, this is gonna be posted like, I don't know, like end of 2025 or something, like later half of 2025. So you can walk up here as well. Again, staggered platforms actually. And then there's a bridge for the light rail over the road here. Good view of the city as well. There's even a C2 class tram in here, which there's only 5 of those, which run on Route 96. But there's no C1 class, which is the 109 tram. Like, what? Yeah, I did actually go on a C2 class just yesterday, just to make sure I've been on every type of tram. It was absolutely packed though. Here's the C class coming in on 109 right now. And then one stop later down the line, this is the Southbank tram depot stop, which has this weird number 125A. All of them are just a normal number, but then here it's A, and the next stop is 125. Why? Is it because they added it in later and they just had to give it a letter? Underneath this freeway bridge, another very not that nice stop, and it's actually not even next to the depot. The depot first entrance is right there. The Montague Street stop is actually next to the depot. It's just so confusing. And then right after this, there's actually the junction with the Route 96 and Kilda line, and then there's a stop at Clarendon Street Junction, which is 125, just before it commences street running again. It is such a weird spot. This is where the two lines converge. There's a weird pedestrian crossing here, and there's actually a driver-only tram stop there as well, where they can switch drivers for Route 96, while the 109 drivers can just switch at the depot. And there's the Clarendon Street Junction stop right there. Tram driver pickup only. I've never actually seen them use this though. I've seen several places where they stop outside the depot, even in the middle of the road. But this one, which is actually on the designated tracks, I never saw them use it, even though I passed several times. Yeah. And then Clarendon Street Junction actually has 3 platforms, even though only 2 of them are in use at the moment, which is also quite silly. But anyway, that's it. That's pretty much the whole alignment. There's a tram coming right now. And there's a sky bus on the bridge, which I'll be taking in like 12 hours. The double-decker one though, not that one.